When you're on the road in winter weather, sometimes it's hard to know what to expect. In many parts of the country, the weather can change quite rapidly. What then? Are you prepared to deal with it? More specifically, are you prepared to chain your tires when adverse weather or local laws demand that you do so? In a quest to continually improve safe travel on snowy roads over the years, chain regulations have been changed, become more stringent. Recently, they have gotten even tougher, especially in states like Colorado and California. Because of this, we are providing you with a complete update on our chaining program, so we can all be assured that we are in compliance and travel more safely as a result. First, you should be aware of chaining regulations where you're going to be driving. Don't assume anything and be ready for everything. That means having the right equipment for the right job at all times, the proper chains, and the tools for the areas in which you'll be driving. You'll need 3-rail chains for drive tires, and you may also need single chains to use as a drag chain. You can use single chains for drive tires, but if you're operating a single axle tractor, you'll need a chain for each drive tire. T-handle, tarp straps, and a lumper tool are provided in sleeper tractors, so make sure you have them on hand. Keep the chains you need in your tractor at all times, and periodically check their condition. Make sure that they're in good shape, with no broken links or hooks or any other defects. In doubles tractors, chains are stored in the chain battery box. In triples tractors, you'll find them hung on the air starter tank or in the chain box. In sleeper tractors, chains are hung on the right frame rail. In addition to having proper chains and ones that are in good condition, there's something else you always need to be prepared for: being out in the weather. That means having bright clothing on hand, clothing that is warm, and gloves that are warm and waterproof. Be sure to carry rain gear as well, including rubber boots. Don't think it can't happen to you. Be prepared at all times. On the Interstate 70 corridor over the Rocky Mountains, you'll usually encounter the worst weather from September to April, but snowstorms have also been known to hit this area any time of the year. So don't be surprised. Be prepared for anything, because it may very well happen in the I-70 corridor or in places like Donner Pass at any time. Another way to make sure that you're not caught by surprise is checking your weather forecast regularly. In some states, chains may be required on certain areas or on particular roads. You'll see lighted overhead signs or flip signs on the shoulder of the highway that will let you know what's required. It is imperative that you obey the laws of each state and heed the posted instructions on the road. Refer to Safety Stories, Episode 25, 51 Ways to Chain, for your latest updates on chaining regulations. If you fail to comply with chaining regulations, substantial fines can be levied against you, and you can lose points on your CDL. Waiting until the last minute to take care of chaining will likely result in your having to do it in an unsafe area, such as the shoulder of the road or a traffic lane. Every year, drivers are injured and even killed as a result of finding themselves in this situation. You must avoid this by anticipating when it is necessary to chain your tractor. If you begin to feel like it would be safer to have your chains on, or if chains are required by the state you're traveling in, pull off into a parking area if one's available. Be sure to park straight and on level ground. Here's how to install tire chains. First, it's important to set your parking brakes. If you set only the tractor brakes, your unit may roll or slide, so be sure to set all parking brakes. It's not recommended that you drop your trailers to install chains. In fact, in some areas you may be traveling, it may be illegal. Removing mud flaps can make chain installation much easier. If your flaps are bolted on, use bungee straps to keep them out of the way. Or if you are part of a sleeper team, have your partner hold them out of the way. If you can't remove the flaps or hold them out of the way, work from the front of the tire to the back. You'll have more room to work in this way. To install, first drape the chains over the tires, taking care to place the cross-link anchor hooks towards the pavement in order to avoid tire damage. Release your parking brakes and slowly drive forward or backward until the chains are under the tires. Stop. Then reset all your parking brakes. Reaching between the duals, hook the center rail first, as tight as possible. You may have to remove your gloves in order to do this easily. Next, hook the inside rail as tightly as possible. Do the same with the outside rail. Tighten the inside cams, then the outside cams, using a cam tightener T-bar or L handle. Note that some chains may have cams on one side only. In this case, make sure the cams are on the outside of the tire. Get back in your truck, release the brakes, then drive forward very slowly for no more than 1/4 of a mile. Stop, then reset your parking brakes and get ready to retighten the chains. First, release the cams, starting with the outside rail. Rehook the center rail as tightly as possible, followed by rehooking the inside, then outside rails. All that is left now is to retighten the cams. Then replace your mud flaps. You'll be ready to go. To install your chains with a chain lumper, here's what to do. First, lay your chains in the direction they'll be lying on the tire, with the rail end links facing forward. Next, slide the chain lumper through the hand holes in the wheel, flat end to the inside and hooks hanging down. Avoid using wheel holes with valve stems. If you don't, you could damage the valve stems and the chain lumper both. You must next hook the end links to all 3 hooks on the chain lumper, pulling the chain lumper outward to avoid making contact with the spring hanger or the frame. Make sure to fasten the center hook on the lumper tool so that you don't damage the tool. Get into your truck, release the parking brake, and drive forward slowly until the chain rides up on the tire. Then stop. Reset your brakes and adjust the chain. Make sure it lies flat and straight on the tire. If you're part of a sleeper team and your partner is available, he or she can jump in and help you adjust the chains. Get back in your truck, release the brakes again, and drive forward slowly until more of the chain rides up on the tire. Then adjust the chain. Repeat this process until the chain is completely around the tire. When you're through and the chain is properly installed and secured, unhook the chain lumper from the chain and remove the chain lumper from the wheel. Then rehook the chain and retighten it to get a snug fit. In a spin-out situation, you can use your chain lumper to install chains. Be sure to spin tires very slowly and be very careful not to damage the lumper tool or the chains. Why do we keep insisting that you keep your chains as tight as possible on your vehicle? When your chains are properly tightened, there is no slack in the cross links. You shouldn't be able to lift the cross links away from the tire at all. An added benefit of properly installed chains that are good and tight is that you will not need to use rubber tighteners or bungee straps. Now that you have your chains installed and you're ready to roll, here are a few tips on driving with chains. Remember that driving with care will extend the life of your chains, your tires, and your other equipment. As you start to move with your tires chained, make sure your differential is locked. On sleepers and triples equipped with ATC, turn the switch to the mud and snow position. To avoid spinning your wheels, start out in low gear. This is important. Spinning a wheel will break your crosslinks. As you move on, be sure to shift smoothly and avoid popping the clutch or jamming the gears. Stay in low range so the differential remains in the locked position. Doing so will greatly improve the traction on snow and ice. It is imperative that you do not exceed 30 miles per hour when driving with chains. If you do go over 30, you're dramatically shortening the life of your chains, if not destroying them. Tightness will also affect the life of your chains. Chains that are loosened by only one link on each side last only 50% as long, even at 30 miles an hour. So it is essential to check your chains periodically for tightness. While climbing a grade, if you break traction, try driving in a lower gear. Do not spin your wheels, because doing so will destroy the chains. If you cannot move without continually spinning, stop. Contact your relay for help. First, untangle the chains and lay them out flat. Inspect them closely for broken cross links and replace any that are beyond use. Next, picking them up by the center rail, hang the chains on the inside post, the post nearest the frame of the chain rack first. Be sure to leave a slight sag in the chains. Next, hang chains on the center post, then the outside post. Then work in reverse, from outside to center to inside post. Continue working back and forth until the entire chain is hung. Repeat this process, hanging chains in front of the rack. When you're done, make sure nothing is dragging or doing anything that might cause you problems later. And since the chains have been used, or if you discover that some of them need to be replaced, be sure to write up an M11 to notify the next driver or the garage. It's also a good idea to check condition of your winter and wet weather gear from time to time. Make sure you have everything you need, from hats, boots, and make sure it's clean, dry, and in good shape. Any other tools that you find that might help you in chaining or keep you safer, keep them on board and keep them operational. It can be treacherous out there. Don't be caught in bad weather without being fully prepared for it. Expect the unexpected. Listen to your weather forecast. Know the chaining regulations for the states in which you travel. Be sure to chain your vehicle as soon as the situation warrants it. Most of all, be safe. There are a lot of people out there counting on you for that, and you owe it to yourself.